Hello. In this video we're going to be learning how to assemble our oboes. So starting out, we have our case. Mine looks like this. Now in the instance of my case, we want to make sure that we open it so that the clasps, the side the clasps are actually attached to is on top. So the oboe will be on bottom. So this is the way we're going to open this one. You also want to make sure that you set your case down on a very sturdy, flat surface. So not your lap and not a rickety music stand. So I'm going to set mine down on this chair because oboes are very delicate and very expensive. So, set my case down on the chair, opened it up. Let's take a look at what we have here. So, you'll notice that we have a couple different parts here. We have, in this little compartment, a collection of reeds and some cork grease. Here, we have our upper joint, and here we actually have two different separate pieces of the oboe that are joined together because that's how this one happens to be stored. So this top piece right here is called the bell, and this lower section, which starts here and goes to here, is called actually the lower section. So once again, we have the upper section, lower section, and the bell. So the very first thing you want to do when you're assembling your oboe is deal with your reeds. So we always want to soak our reeds when we're playing oboe before we play the oboe. So I've actually already started mine right here. Mine's already been soaking. So very important, you want to make sure that you're only soaking up until the end of the actual reed. You don't want to be, especially don't want to be soaking the cork because that can cause problems when you're actually trying to assemble the cork into the upper section of the oboe. So just like that, a little plastic cup like that'll do, and it'll sit just perfectly in it. And your reeds will come in a little case like this. Now, these cases are fine for what they come in, but they're not exactly ideal for storing. So if you're going to actually be playing oboe and having a variety of reeds, you're going to want to get a proper case for those. So, my reed's been soaking for a while, so we'll begin the actual portion where we assemble our oboe. So, we're going to start with the piece that's already assembled. I'm just going to show you what it would look like if we disassemble it. So here we have the bell, here we have the lower section, the bell and lower section. So, if you see, there's this little piece right here where they connect, where you actually want them to line up. And you can also see they line up right here at this bar that goes across both of them. So we're just going to gently, with a back and forth twisting motion, separate them. And you'll see that we have a cork right here attached to our lower section. This is what's actually going to go into the bell, as so. And once again, I'm going to line mine up on this little piece right here. Perfect. You can also see that it's lining up here as well. And our little logo, which is kind of hard to see, there's not really much of a logo on this, is right in the middle as well. So there's a very similar piece on the other end right here that we're going to line up with our upper joint. Our upper joint also has a cork on it as well. And just a side note, if you're having problems assembling any parts of your oboe at the cork, remember that we always have cork grease. Really helpful. Grease up your corks. Slide them on in. So, we're going to assemble this one in the same fashion that we did before. Right like this. And now you can see that everything is lined up. We have this portion that lines up between the bell and the lower joint. And we have this bar right here that lines up between the upper and lower joints. Now this piece at the end is where we're actually going to put our reed in. So really important when we're putting our reed in, we want to be gentle. Now our reed is going to go all the way in until you can feel it stop. And you want to make sure that, first let me just shake off some of this excess moisture. You always want to make sure that your reed is soaked before you play. And when you are inserting your reed in, same thing as before, you want to kind of use a twisting motion. And you want it so that your reed is parallel with your mouth when you're in the playing position. So your fingers are going to be resting on top, thumb resting behind the thumb rest right here. This is how we're going to play. So we want our reed so that it's set up so it's going to go into our mouth like this. We don't want it this way. Be kind of hard to play like that. So here we are, we're inserting it in. Mine tends to be a little bit tougher than some of the other ones that I've encountered, so I gotta use a little bit more force with it, but we're still being very gentle overall. Good! So now that everything is assembled, we can play our oboe, hopefully.